Okay, so the film we're looking at today definitely stretches the definition somewhat of wholesome. It's violent, it's tense, it doesn't have a particularly happy ending, and it definitely falls on the scarier end of the spectrum if horror is not a genre you are used to. Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus, this is most definitely not.
No, in fact, Train to Busan is a South Korean zombie movie where a lot of people are murdered and eaten by a fast-moving flock of the graphically undead. But what I want to get across with Wholesome Halloween is how even the heavier end of the horror spectrum often has more to say than just, let's watch people die for approximately 90 minutes. Because at the centre of all the claustrophobic zombie terror of Train to Busan is really just a broken relationship between a father and his daughter, with the zombie backdrop acting as nothing more than a vehicle for its repair. Seok-woo is a Seoul-based workaholic businessman, divorced from his wife and mostly absent in his young child Suan's life, in that awkward way where he's technically present but he doesn't really communicate with or understand her. As Suan's birthday approaches, she decides she wants to spend it with her mother in Busan, and indulging in his daughter's wish, the two board, would you believe it, a train to Busan. As the train is about to leave, this lady boards.
And in case it isn't clear, she's been a little bit nibbled.
Naturally, she turns into a zombie and quickly starts slinging teeth, spreading the infection further, and pretty soon, Seok-woo, his daughter, and a couple of other surviving characters find themselves outnumbered and trapped on a train taken over by hordes of hungry corpses and have to find a way to survive.
It's a great setup, one that takes the well-treaded ground of a zombie outbreak and puts a fresh spin on it by putting what's normally a grander narrative into a smaller, more intimate setting of a claustrophobic train ride from hell. And it is fucking excellent.
Train to Busan is so good at what it does that even when releasing right in the midst of a worldwide zombie media mania that rivals the superhero oversaturation of now and saw every kind of zombie movie, TV show and book under the sun shambling into our ears and eyeballs like an invasive unwanted corpse, Train to Busan still felt like a breath of fresh air. And that is because it is so good at literally everything it does, presenting a genuinely unforgettable cast of brilliant characters who range from absolute lovable heroes you want to be your best friends and would die for to fuck this guy, and it puts these characters on a journey with such a palpable sense of dread and threat. Yeon Sang-ho directs the whole thing with a deliberate and methodical pace, choosing rather cleverly to frame the initial outbreak in disconnected blips seen through more minor characters in the eyes of the innocent daughter. There's this slow drip feed of uncoordinated clues from multiple perspectives. Things like the conductor at the platform raising a curious glance to the suspiciously restless crowd from a distance, to the homeless stowaway shaking with clear PTSD in the bathrooms, to the daughter seeing the panic of train staff running towards off-screen attacks.
It all builds to this sense that something is very deeply wrong, and that no one of the characters has anywhere near enough information to be prepared for what's about to happen. And when the shit does hit the fan, oh boy.
Some of the stuff that happens in Train to Busan is so intense you certainly wouldn't be wrong in calling it an action movie. The zombies of Busan are amazing. These extras are giving it the beans in their performances. On top of the excellent makeup work, those guys have a presence, switching it up between lingering slow approaches with dead-eyed stares to thrashing around with the kind of unpredictable chaotic energy of a hyperactive child on crack. These guys are some of my favourite on-screen undead ever, with all the intensity of the 28 Days Later runners and a visual terror all of their own.
And when you cram all those into a tightly packed train full of richly developed characters from different age groups and social backgrounds, you got yourself a nice little setup for an oppressive zombie flick with social commentary that's, dare I say it, biting?
The film definitely has a fair amount to say about class and social status as well as capitalism in general.
Yeah, got another one. It seems that horror that is about criticizing social and economic class structure or is about friends is absolutely my jam. So if anyone wants to volunteer and go ahead and make a horror film that is about friends and also criticizes social and economic class structure, I will probably buy a ticket. I will definitely buy a ticket.
The original outbreak is caused by a company leaking biological waste into the countryside and infecting the animals in a manner not too dissimilar to BP's oil spill. The character hierarchy that attempts to form within the survivors sees a greedy COO, this fucking guy, acting selfish and putting the lives of those he sees as lesser in regular danger to save his own skin, often doing so without even fully committing to doing any of the dirty work those actions require himself, such as when he orders trained staff around to lock survivors out of his carriage in case they are infected.
Granted, this is an unrealistic life or death situation with zombies, but is it really too hard to see this scene and draw parallels to, say, an entitled arsehole yelling at someone in customer service? You know the type, maybe it was a waiter, or maybe someone who worked at Subway several years ago and still isn't over it. Listen, Debbie, I don't give a shit that you missed the train to your girls' night out. I fucking cut myself. I'm sorry if that delayed the arrival of your sandwiches. Maybe don't order 4 fucking footlongs when your train down the road leaves in 2 minutes. Did you ever think of that, Debbie? No, you didn't, did you? Because you only ever think of your fucking self.
The more working class individuals on the train, however, these absolute treasures, have more of a sense of unity about them, and often act in selfless and self-sacrificial ways which the film often rewards. Like, don't get me wrong, all the good guys aren't making it out of this one alive, but the movie certainly frames their actions in a far better light than the selfish pursuit of independent gain this arsehole often partakes in. Our main character is also the bridge between these two mindsets, both in and out of the zombie train scenario. He's rich and successful like the horrid COO, but his work is tearing him away from the union and family dynamic characters like the working class couple have. And so his arc throughout the film sees him slowly break away from the more selfish acts that define the traits that separated him from his family and daughter, and work towards becoming more selfless in order to save the things that really matter to him. The relationship between Sok-woo and Soo-an is really tremendous, fully realised and heartwarming. And this is why this movie is in this marathon. Yes, it's on the heavier end of the horror scale, but watching this cold, distant robot of a father redeem himself through the eyes of his daughter by becoming a better man is in many ways kinda wholesome.
It's a father-daughter story, and their relationship is worth the price of admission alone. It just so happens that in buying into that, you also get a metric fuck ton of zombies for free. What a banger of a deal.
Add to that, awesome action set pieces, a breakneck pace that builds slowly like a roller coaster before the big drop, and once things get going, flings you forward with a relentless speed that doesn't let you go, excellent characters, a fantastically fresh setting, a truly loathable worm of a villain, and an amazing payoff, and you've got one of literally the best zombie movies in existence.
It might even make you cry. It'll probably make you, it'll definitely make you cry. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Subscribe to my OnlyDans for more Wholesome Halloween. I'll see you next time.